And leadership is a big question. How do you earn the trust of your followers?
Why is it important to be a leader nowadays?
In the public administration, many of the people in the Akimat are just sitting around, In fact, you have to lead your own life. So now we know that this is called the flow, the patok, that you lose the sense of time. Then you would say, it's just perfect. Don't disturb us.
Yes, the
Talk about
Chai
your tea.
The Chai Hana, the tea house. Yes.
Oh my God. United we strong, divided we fall.
Then you have the skill, do something with it. Okay? Hareket bar, jerde bereke bar. Do what you need and fun. I just want to give you lots of material between knowledge and entertaining.
That would be great.
Just
We want like the practical
things
this,
also.
That's good.
Yes.
That's good.
Yes. Okay.
So yeah, welcome. It's our third episode with our dearest friend Zoltan Buzady. We are really glad to have you here, sir. How are you doing today?
Hi, everybody. Bayberis Diaz, thank you for your invitation. And I have to say that you're really professional in the way you set up this call and this opportunity. And I wanted to ask you, have you been in Kazakhstan recently?
My last time I was in June 2024.
I was 3 years ago.
I have got some surprise for you then, some Kurt, okay? So this is from Turkestan.
Amazing.
And for you from
I'm really
Chimkent.
honored to get from Chimkent, my hometown. Great.
He's actually from
I bought
Shymkent,
it there in
that's
the
true,
supermarkets.
Oh
I
my
always have
God.
some with me.
Thank
It's
you
very
very much, sir.
tasty.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you,
It's-
welcome.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you.
actually, I didn't like Kurt. First time I got some Kurt in the supermarket about 10 years ago in Almaty. I thought it was gone bad, like rotten or something. And then the second time I came across Kurt was in the Algier camp. when I
Yeah,
heard
you know the
about
story.
the story of
Yeah.
people helping. The Kazakhs are very helpful people to refugees and taking people
From
on board.
Stalin times.
And then I started to eat more and more of this local food, which I always liked was the meat, any type of the meat. And then I got this soups, and now I love this. So
Great,
for you.
great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you like Kurt? Because I have a little bit childhood trauma with the Kurt.
No, I mean I love it actually, but on North it's like a little bit different. Like the sourness, the level of sourness it increases the more south we go.
Yes.
as I understand this.
Yes.
I mean this is my scale with this, but I like it. And
Thank you very much for such presence.
Let's start with like, can you like introduce yourself and like what kind of recent works have you done?
Okay, so these are two big stories.
Yeah.
A bit about myself. The most important statement is I'm a proud Hungarian. I'm very glad to meet you guys who are developing your own homeland and own future of your own culture. And I grew up actually in the West, so I am sort of a son of somebody who had to leave the country, Hungary, in 1956. And I was born in Sweden. I grew up in Munich, in Germany. I went to French primary school, and then I studied in England. I studied law and then an MBA. So I have a very cosmopolitan background, but really knowing the roots helps me in being very international even now by knowing what I'm good at. And I'm very good at loving my country and developing my country. And I think that's also the point when I discovered Central Asia, and it happens to be Kazakhstan, that I discovered that this is a country which is similar in the development which I went through. So this is what I'm ethnically, and what my work is I'm a pedagogist of adults. So I teach business people, executives, but also PhD students and master students in a field called management, and in particular it is leadership. And leadership is a big question. How do you earn the trust of your followers? How can they actually feel that it is worth working hard and do the best for you as a leader? Otherwise, they will leave. The worst what happens often is the people just want to have the money, and then they leave the organization, they leave the work because of bad leadership. So I'm a leadership developer, and I write teaching tools. I am developing theory, which is called the flow. We'll speak of that. It's strongly related to games. This is a Hungarian innovation, the Kubik Rubik here, right? Yeah. So this is a Hungarian invention, and it has 48 or 43 quintillion permutations.
Oh,
But people solve this faster than going through the permutations because they have actually
algorithm.
algorithms, and they have sophisticated and easy algorithms. And good leadership is around finding good algorithm for people, and you do this by playing this game. And in management, we try to educate people also to become good leaders by having something where they exercise this abilities. So this is what we can talk about. It's called the Fligby, the game.
Fligby.
Yeah. So this is
Yeah,
what I do.
see.
And maybe for you, that you invited me from your foundation and your new channel, I'm very happy to share my insights about how to find work in Hungary and in the region, what I think about that. But actually, I've been very often in your country, in Kazakhstan, about 27 times by now.
You'll
In
definitely talk about it.
in smaller cities also. So I'm not just with the fancy people in the
No.
Esentai Mall or in the Nur Alem and in the nice areas, but really also where standard people live, in the auls, so to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, we would love to talk about it as well.
Thank you very much. When you last time visited Kazakhstan?
The last time I was in Kazakhstan was a few months ago in November. It was for 2 weeks. I had a teaching assignment by the Ministry of Education. It was a Doctor of Business Administration program at DBA at Almaty Management
Yeah.
University. And the location was in Astana. At that time, there was also a conference by Hungarian investors who want to help Kazakhstan to develop the water management and sewage. So it
Yeah.
was an international trade event. And also I took a few days off to travel to Turkestan. I wanted to see myself this new development. But more importantly, I wanted to see the essence of this location, the Yasavi's shrine.
Mausoleum.
So I was teaching a masterclass at the new university called International University of Tourism and Hospitality, youth, which is right in the center of, and then also at Yasavi, which is a big university, a more classic one. And I took a day off to visit your hometown, Chimkent, and also on the way there was Otrar and Aristambab.
It
So
was a center of Kazakh Khanate.
it was a very interesting and touching journey for me. Very energizing.
That's
Yeah.
fascinating to hear from you, sir. I mean,
That's-
So that was the last time in November.
thank you.
I think we can just jump in the conversation and bring the elephant in the room. Why is it important to be a leader nowadays? Why is it important to study particular leadership? And
Yes.
isn't it just oversimplifying like the idea of leader? Because not everybody can be a leader, right? So it's kind of I don't want to say born ability, but it's kind of a thing that is naturally grows in the community itself.
Yes. So Diaz, not everybody has to learn leadership. And it is a topic really relevant for people who are, let's say, above 30, when they take charge of others. But it is something which can be developed. So most people are not born leaders. And even the born leaders don't know about how to lead people well. Maybe they're just successful. So in your country, there are many people who after 1990 got suddenly very rich, and you consider them as being good leaders. And you have also people who have been good leaders but have not been recognized at that time and are now good leaders because the dimensions of what makes a good leader changes. So this is a very complicated topic to philosophize about what is a leader, but certainly, Diaz, it's not somebody who's you're born like this. In fact, many family members, children, when you grow up, you'll suffer from so-called family shortcuts, algorithms. And people have discovered this for themselves as a way of survival. And one of them, in many societies and countries, could be that you should never think that you will be a leader. We are just nomads. We are just simple people. You should not think of going to study. So many people have internal family glass ceiling of algorithms about how life should be. And being a leader or not being a leader could be one of them. You get it? So there can be also other topics like you can't be clever, right? We are not scientists. We're down to earth agricultural people,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Or we are just cruel people. We are batirs. We are fighters. So this is about leadership.
So it basically comes down to the question of effectiveness, of how effective the leader is, if he's a chosen one or he is the person who is naturally.
Yes. So a leader, you can have an informal leader, is chosen by the followers. You have informal leaders in any organization. People, for example, who together have a coffee break or the cigarette break, or people who like to discuss certain topics within the organization, which emerges amongst them. So an informal leader is a person which is chosen by the members.
Mhm.
However, organizations like a government or like a company,
Institutions.
institutions, put somebody into charge and they say, you're in charge of running this company, making this foundation, doing this movement, whatever. And in this case, leadership becomes more than just effectiveness, because you can have a very simple way of being effective. It is called transactional style. You tell people what to do this, do that.
Mhm.
We could also call that traditional style, or sometimes it's called socialist style in your country. People tell you, you do it, otherwise you will be fired.
Mm.
And then you just wait until the order comes and nothing gets done.
Leading by fear. Maybe.
Sorry?
Leading by fear.
Leading by fear. So in the public administration, many people in the Akimat are just sitting around, because they are just not really afraid, but they think it's better not to risk, to have initiative. And if you have resources by the government, by the people, or by the owners, you actually want to create more wealth and more opportunities, not just with what is in the head of the top one guy, the Akim or the CEO or the top manager, but the whole movement around it. So leadership becomes more sophisticated than telling or being effective, because the people who are effective is not the leader, it's the whole organization altogether, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
It's more difficult than that. That's why there are so many theories which we can research and teach on what is a good leader. And I have my own theory, which is this flow theory,
Yep.
the flow leadership. So leadership is something all the young people should also know about. You, Diaz, and everybody behind the screen and on watching this, it is something that you should ask yourself, what are my strengths, what I'm proud of, what I'm going to be inspired to do things, because that will be your own leadership.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, you have to lead your own life.
That is true.
Right?
That is true.
So this word of leading is an interesting Anglo-Saxon word, and it's very close to the word of management, manager. And usually when the idea is of what is a manager, it's somebody who's doing the processes, who's doing things effectively.
Mm-hmm.
And the leader, we think that he has chosen or she has chosen to do things which others find inspiring, or you have done things which are important for your own life.
Yeah, yeah. When you were first talking, you mentioned that by time the leadership changes. For example, you mentioned
Yes.
about 90s people
Yes.
who got rich in that time.
Yes.
The thing, and what I read that in particularly in such cultures, the leaders divided into two: southern and northern ones.
Mhm.
Southern are the ones who leader in chaotic times.
Yes.
90s.
Yes.
And they become leader in that. They feel comfortable in chaos.
Yes.
But by then, when the system is created, the northerns come into the scene and becoming leader,
Yes.
as our second president maybe
Yes.
now.
Yes.
Is it what I'm talking about, or how you define this?
This is what you said. It's very, very close to this.
Yep.
And it has to do with the fact that a leader or leadership is around being able to survive for yourself in chaos when there are changes, to instigate changes.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, you need also consistency and coordination.
Mm.
So if you have constant change, then this is not going to be an organization. No project will be implemented. And that's why actually leading younger people is so difficult, because younger people actually don't want to work in a company too long. They want to have short projects, short video clips, short things, right? And
That is true.
Fast results.
fast results. But fast results cannot be created on societal level. You can't have a very fast change of educational system or fast change of mentality in the organization. That's why management is necessary. So you're right, these two elements are important. And actually, when we speak of leadership skills, which we measure in my training, we have 29 skills which a leader should have. I gave you this paper here. We can also link it in for the viewers. We can create a shortcut if necessary.
There's no problem.
And they can study this. You know, I have a Russian, not the Kazakh yet, but soon I wish somebody would help me with the Kazakh work. But these are the skills. So, for example, if you look at this, the first one, which you call the southern or the more emergent, energetic, is quick decision making. Sometimes it's good to take quick decisions.
Considering the uncertainty.
Considering the uncertainty, you use your internal intuition. This is also a leadership skill. Sometimes you have to take the risk and not calculate too long and have a good idea that this would be a good opportunity. So it's another leadership skill. It's called risk-taking, entrepreneurial skill. But sometimes you need situations in which a good leader is organized. Analytical, second skill, organizing skill. Sometimes it is very good to be diplomatic, which means that you don't get involved. In other situations, it's good if you have conflict management skills, which means that you get involved in the problem. So maybe the Southern style, which I'm speculating what it could be, is to get involved in the problems. But after a while, it's good to let people evolve and come to a mutual understanding. So these 29 skills are like cooking spices, and what you cook with, the better it is, the more spices you have.
Yeah.
You know, the Kazakhs, you have
we have a lot of
not many spices are needed for the bash.
No, we have a
But
lot of spices.
you have lots of good kitchen and international spices are around.
Yeah.
And the same is then for leadership skills.
Thank you, Mr. Zoltan. The thing is that, for example, you mentioned that young people are not manageable. And I totally agree with that. We have that mentality. Considering the fact that those people want to be leader, what top 5 skills they have to enhance and how they can implement in daily life, like daily, what they have to do.
The practical things.
The younger people whom you are now, they are at the moment, luckily, hopefully self-motivated. You're very self-motivated. You put up this show, this essence, and you create reality for yourself and for the future of others. Congratulations. I'm really proud to be here. But not many young people like you. Many people are passive, right? They consume stuff, they watch, and they have no ideas on what they could do with their life. This is because nobody in their life, probably as parents, told them, you have the skill, do something with it. Okay? But I am normally dealing with business people who employ younger people as you are, and they have a problem how to manage, how to coordinate the motivation of younger people, right? And what I'm saying to them, to the elderly people, business people, but also for those who are not so active in their own life and hopefully watch this show, is to discover the beauty of hard work, of doing things. You have a beautiful Kazakh sentence for this. Hareket bar, jerde bereke bar. Where there's hard work, there will be joy, right? So the young people who are self-motivated don't have this problem, but those who are not, they listen to this, hopefully. Yeah. And this is where the flow theory, this patok, this idea comes in. And this is what leaders who are more experienced, older, that's why they should learn about how to put younger people also into flow.
So the flow theory is developed by Hungarian-American psychologist.
Yes.
It was a very famous psychologist, and of course, he's a role model for me as well. Is Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi.
He was preparing to pronounce it correctly.
Yes.
Yeah, because
he was really prepared.
because in Hungarian it's really hard. Sorry.
Yes. So
yeah, Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi. Oh,
yes,
sorry.
That's fine. So, bye, Beris.
Yeah.
Congratulations. You passed the test. I see you learned something great in Hungary to pronounce this difficult name.
That is true.
So, it's very easy, by the way, Diaz. I will teach you because you're not so advanced yet. So,
Semmi baj,
Semmi baj, very easy, nagyon könnyű.
Nem baj, nem baj.
Nem baj. So this is the most famous Hungarian in the world, I think. Why? Because he founded a new science. You know, very few people can say that they founded a science.
To be honest.
And he's the co-founder of positive psychology, the research of what makes people happy and creative. And how to pronounce his name is me. Hi.
Hi.
So that's
Okay.
2 words already. You
Mihai.
50% you've got. This part of the face in English is called the cheek, right? Cheek. When you've typed an email and then you press the send button, right? You click on, then the email has been sent, like in the past tense.
That is
So
true.
it's cheek, sent, me, hi. So it's 4 very simple English words you can pronounce. And if you pronounce it this way, they will think that you're Hungarian.
Oh my God.
Then you can say, men magyar men.
Ben magyar van. The thing is that how I learned it. Chick, as you said, the thing is the same. A saint, it's Hungarian word saint.
Yes, saint.
Check,
In Hungarian, cheek is a region in in Romania, but it's really homeland for our Hungarian heart as well.
Yep.
And his ancestors were helping the Austrian-Hungarian Empire to fight against the Ottomans. You know, we could call them the Turks, the Ottomans. And in that time, when somebody helped to free up for the Christian world a part, an area, then he got that territory. And that territory, which is called the Cheek territory, now Romania, is called Cheek still nowadays, the city Cheek Sereda, for example. And he was given, his ancestors were given this name as a family name because they freed it up for the new world, so to say. So this is how he got it. Cheek. Then saint means holy and saint, and Michael is because the church in Czechstan is named after him. Okay, so this is the story.
That's the story name. Great.
And so his books, you know, he wrote. What did he do? So first of all, when he was a small child here in Budapest, and Budapest was bombed by the Soviet Red Army, so your grandparents were involved in these atrocities as well. But we're good friends now. It's very important to say. And this little boy went down in Budapest in the cellar because they were so afraid of life, what would happen. And he remembers later on, when he was a teenager, that when he played chess with his uncle, this fear disappeared. So now we know that this is called the flow, the patok, that you lose the sense of time and you're not aware of the problems of the life, but it's just a beautiful experience. And this can happen when you're running, when you're great conversation, as we have now. It can be a good mathematical algorithm you have to solve. This is an example of flow. When people play this, they are obsessed with this. And good leadership should be something like that too. Running an akimat, running a company, running a business venture, you feel entrepreneurial like this little boy, Csikszentmihalyi, here in Budapest, when he played chess. He doesn't care about the problems, he cares about the solution and the beauty of it. And then later on, this person went to Italy. He observed his parents, who were great diplomats, that they were refugees, and they started a small restaurant. It was called the Piccolo Budapest, next to the Trevi Fountains in Rome. And he was wondering why everybody complains, but his parents started something very different. And that's why for this show, it's very important as well, whenever somebody comes here to study in Hungary or in Central Europe, and you go home and it's very difficult, it is possible to change your life by adapting to a new situation and apply the skills and find new meaning in a new situation, but everybody around you just complains. So this professor then wanted to find out what the reason for this happiness is, and he went to United States and he settled down there, and he was researching everyday people, obsession and activities and feelings, and he discovered that there is a moment not only for artists, for sportsmen, theater actors, but everyday human beings can be caught randomly in an activity and saying, this was just beautiful. Like you now, guys, I think you feel good. I certainly do.
Yeah, for sure.
So if we now would be interrupted with a beeper, as he did, and ask, how do you feel? Then you would say, it's just perfect. Don't disturb us. So this was very important discovery by him. And then he started to go deeper and find out what made people creative. So that's why he wrote this book about creativity. That's his first idea. Then he discovered this flow. This is this book here, the Patok.
In Russian?
You can buy this in any Meloman bookshop. Or,
I got it in my
right?
home now.
And of course,
forgot to bring it.
digital copies are floating around illegally in the world. And then he became world famous because it was a universal experience, and everybody thought that this is just a subjective feeling. And he discovered the algorithm of flow.
Yeah.
And then 20 years ago, he was asked to research whether this happiness and flow exists also in business environment, or is it only for outside of work. And of course, it exists in companies. So this is Harashi Business. That's the Russian title of it, Good Business. So that's the book which I teach. This is the essence of what I'm teaching, that it is possible to create organizations, workplaces in which people think that it's meaningful work, and the leaders have to create this. And then a few years later on, I wrote my own book, which is called Missing Link Discovered. And it is about the flow and the business context. And it actually explains this simulation game, which is Fligby, which he did. And he created with his company. It's called Aleas. And they're absolutely amazing innovators, business people who develop this. And I'm very, very thankful that I can be the ambassador of this teaching philosophy and this teaching tool. So I use this also when I'm teaching abroad.
Great. That's a great story of him. To be honest, we dive into this story and how he can become such famous.
It was really interesting. So before him, everybody just thought it's just a feeling that
yes, before
subjective feeling.
Exactly. Right? So it's a universal feeling we know now. So when you were playing as a child in your garden,
building blocks,
this is clearly a mental state of a child being in flow. They don't want to be interrupted. Maybe they get even hungry and they don't notice. And suddenly they think it's never enough. And the point about flow is not just happiness that they learn. So in flow, you develop the skills. If you don't develop your skills, you're not in flow. And if you don't apply your skills, you're not in flow either. So learning, happiness, and flow are almost synonyms.
They're connected.
They're connected strongly. Yeah, not synonyms, connected. Basically, in flow, you do things differently than you used to do before. When you play chess, Csikszentmihalyi,
you're
in the moment. You apply all the abilities you have, and you have to play against the uncle who's much adult and cleverer, but you want to be better than you were just before. You want to try out new algorithms, new combinations. So you develop your skills. And as an outcome of being in flow, you have a better level of skills, higher complexity, more abilities to play this game. So everybody knows this feeling, but we forget about it when we go to school. And I don't like those people who say that the school is making people bad. I'm a realist. I know that the people need to learn writing, calculations, numbers, and basics. And it's just a luxury to say that children should all play and be in digital applications. Who should pay for this?
Of course.
Only the rich? No. So the society did need mass educational routines and systems. And it increased the knowledge of science and medical science.
Reasoning.
So same time, we need to innovate again and again. So therefore, flow research is very strong for pedagogists. So people at the Walikhanov University in Kokshetau, they have a pedagogy department. They research this, and also at the Nazarbayev University in pedagogy, but also at EMAP. So this is highly relevant. But flow is a feeling which most people think that it is up to them individually. And Csikszentmihalyi found a way of proving that this is a universal experience of everybody. And the first time, by the way, it was described is in Anna Karenina. So Tolstoy wrote about this, and there is somebody, Levin, he's cutting the grass in the field, and then Tolstoy
and time passes.
And time passes, and he says this was the most beautiful day in his life. And he was sad about having lost his loved one.
Yeah. Oh my God, that's pretty much the thing.
That-
But talking about its flow state, yeah,
Yes.
being in flow, how the person can change his, for example, think into flow.
Yes.
General
How to
regular
get into
person-
flow.
How to get into flow?
Okay. It is not possible to get into flow just like this. It's not like a tablet or an algorithm you
It's a very
apply
complex one. It's a very-
and then it will happen. But what I can tell you is, and this is what the science is, we know what is needed. What are the prerequisites?
Mhm.
It's like a good dinner, right? Or a good teaching. You need to have the materials, you have the plan, the temperature. It still doesn't guarantee that it will be a great dinner or a great teaching, but for flow, the 4 elements which are the prerequisites, first of all, is the vision or the goal. You need to know what you want to achieve. So in chess, it's very simple. You want to win the tournament against that other person.
Yep.
When you're working in ExxonMobil, you have your tasks, and you have to know what you have to achieve within a day, or within the week, or within the minute, or within
Target.
the hour. When I'm teaching, I know what is the topics I want to convey in the 75 minutes, in 2 hours. So what is the target? If you don't know what the target you want to have, then you will not fall into this mental state of flow.
Mhm.
That's the first one. The second one is that the activity should be one in which you receive feedback immediately from the activity.
Mm.
So when you're running, you feel yourself, you see the time, you feel your blood pressure, how you're doing. When you're cooking and you may want to fall into flow in cooking, you can taste, you see the texture. When I'm doing a teaching, I watch the people's participants' eyes, whether they ask questions which are relevant. So business people have the problem that they give feedback at the end of
Later.
the quarter, they give bonus at the end, and therefore people think that happiness will be created if you give people a bonus in the
Mm.
workplace. But you see, happiness or flow is created when the leader gives immediate feedback to the employees or the team that you're doing well or not doing well, right?
Yep.
In chess, it is the feedback that you see on the board where you've been moving. Immediate feedback by what is the
Yeah,
opponent's movement.
And you see the process.
That's what the second element. The third one in flow is that the task which you do should not be too difficult, because then it's anxiety,
Mm.
or it should not be too easy for your skills, because then it's boring. It should be just perfect.
Wow.
And finding this perfect is not easy. This is where you need to know about yourself, and you need to have possibilities to go deeper, more difficult, and more easier. So when I do this Rubik Cube, right?
Yep.
So I have my algorithms. I can do it in about 2 minutes. I learned it at school. I was second grade. But I can do it in 2 minutes. So if you tell me do this in 1 minute, as your son can do it, he uses different algorithms. It's too complex. I
Yep.
cannot compete. If I say, can you do it in a day? Of course I can do it. It's boring.
You gotta have
The time-
regarding
the
your
time frame is-
ability.
Your abilities. So the third element into flow is you have to think about what abilities you have and how can I apply them in this situation. And the situation shouldn't just be perfect, ideally. So back to chess. If you play against the grandmaster, Großmeister, the
You-
Großmeister, then I will not enjoy the game. If I
Of
play against, absolute beginners in kindergarten, it's not fun either. I need to find the person who's at my level. So this was the third ingredient for getting into flow. First one was have a goal. Second was immediate feedback. And the third one, this balance of skills and challenges. And the fourth element is focus. No disruptions,
Mm.
right? So I have prepared here my stuff so that I can speak to you and I don't have to jump up and get a pen or get the materials.
Because you
So-
more,
It just here now, and if you can't play chess, if somebody will say, hey, by the way, how much time do we still have left or so. So focus, and that's why for younger people, the advice is, what they call this digital health, and the time
digital-
off,
Yeah.
well-being,
Yeah.
right? So this is related to actual learning, and it's related to quality of life. Because if you're constantly interrupted by what happened on Instagram, and did she write me finally a
That
message,
is true.
or did she see my posts or not my posts, this will
Liked
not
or not,
create
eh?
I mean, the
happiness.
problem is that
Yeah.
younger people, they have a low attention span.
Yes.
and I think this is what people what makes it unreachable to be in the flow, because we
Exactly.
always somehow disrupted by these short clips,
Exactly.
some events, and
Exactly.
information is so much accessible now.
Yes.
And sometimes people, and I feel it for and I can say for all younger people that you know, the information part is just, you are overwhelmed with information.
Exactly. So focus is the fourth element, which is a prerequisite for those who say that they have discovered something in themselves, that they were in flow, that the activity was meaningful. Without focus, it cannot happen. The reason is very simple, by the way. The brain has limited bandwidth process. You can't switch easily between elements, but you can't multiply your attention between two. It's not 2 plus 2 or makes 4. You
0.5,
have
0.5.
you have 2. So either the brain is on this 2 or in this 2. But you can't put things together.
Multitasking is a
Multitasking is something which is not possible because your capacity is limited.
Mhm.
And if you want to enjoy the moment, to be in flow, all the capacity needs to be on this
In one task.
activity,
One task. That is true. Yeah.
Great,
Yeah.
great.
So, you know, speaking to you,
Yep.
Kokpar, which is my favorite example,
Oh my God.
right? So when you play I don't play Kokpar, you don't either, but you know, where people who play Kokpar, and let's take the classic one, you know, the authentic one. They use all the mentality, all the brain power there in the game, body and brain. They don't think about, you know, how much will I earn if we win, or what will be my reputation. They forget about this. And this is the focus. You know, the goal is very simple in Kokpar, to get the goat across the line. The feedback is immediate. You see where
Yeah.
if there's not too
Did you
much
score or
steam,
not?
That
you
is
know,
true, yeah.
where did you score? Where is this goat? Who has got it? The feedback is immediate.
Composure, yeah.
Yes, and the task should be not too difficult, not too heavy. So if you're really on the in the tumultus in the middle, then you really are on the borderline of getting too difficult. But if you're good, then
Yeah,
that's the
it's
zone.
about psychological and physics.
Yes. So this Kokpar game, which I like to present, is the best example for explaining the flow.
by
And
the way-
focus was the fourth point.
Yeah, for the focus. By the way, the thing is with the Kokpar, I believe you researched through the Abelhan Kasteyev's paintings. You made
Yes.
a research in Almaty,
Yes.
isn't it?
We can link this also for the viewers. So what I did is I was on a conference.
Yeah, can you
in-
elaborate on that?
I was on a conference in September in Almaty, and it was an international conference by educators in management. It's called Seaman. And there's an opportunity to present a poster, physically a large poster, in which the essence of your research should be. And I thought, I'm going to show something unusual. I'm going to demonstrate the features of flow, which I just mentioned to you, by using Qazaq art,
Mhm.
which I happen to got outstanding introduction to. So in the Kasteyev Museum, I took photos. I got to know the previous director, then this person, that person. And I thought, I'm going to put all these together. So in this video linkage presentation, there is an interview in the Alash journal, which people can read. And also, basically, I speak about the Kokpar first, that this is the epitome in paintings of depicting what I speak about when we mean patok. And you know, areket barje de bereke bar. You remember?
For sure.
So now you start to feel it, that the person who plays hard Kokpar does not just do it like this. Much energy goes in it, and you get better and better in it, right?
Yeah,
It brings the fruits are coming out from
Immediately, yeah.
hard work. And in this description on the poster, you see these four elements, and I show that the goal, for example, the feedback, the balance of skills and challenges, and the focus. And I use paintings from this Kasteyev Museum collection to show that in this picture you can see this feature of flow pretty well.
Oh my God, that's
So
very much.
meaning that the technique that he used, and maybe there is a certain detail
No,
somewhere.
no, I've got it here somewhere.
Sure.
It's yellow.
Here we go.
It's yellow,
Here we go.
right?
Yep. Up.
Okay.
And by the way, we will attach it here as well.
Yeah, we
And
will
in
attach
our
the video.
episode.
Yes. So I'm talking of this thing here, right? This funny poster here, the big one next to me. And what you can see is that the first line after this cockbar is this idea: what makes life meaningful?
Mhm.
This is a question.
Big
And I can tell you from the paintings that maybe family is something which many people think is meaningful life. But it is not true.
Mhm.
Many people are unhappy in families.
Yeah, they think they are happy, but
Many people, and you see another painting here with a rich merchant from Russian, maybe this one here,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
Maybe
Ah,
people think that money makes people happy. But you see many people are rich,
But
but their
not-
life is not happiness. You see the next picture there, here on the steppe, the horseman here,
yeah.
right? I could say that many people think that when you have
Fame.
fame, and the next fame is also here the musician, right? If you're successful and popular,
Yeah.
or when you're beautiful, many people think that I must be very beautiful and then I will be happy. So many people say that it is nice to be, and if you are educated, right? Here is
Educated.
political power.
Yeah.
Political power. So these pictures which I have here are examples of what meaningful life people think it could be.
Mhm.
But Csikszentmihalyi suggests, and found as a psychologist, that meaningful life can also be created to experiencing the flow as an activity. And that's why it's a universal thing.
Doing
Even if
things.
you are not happy in your life in these different elements, you can create happiness if you're not religious and you're not rich or you don't have a family. But even if you have a family, you can create meaningful life through the flow experience.
Yeah, yeah.
So
The third aspect, when you said balancing these challenges,
Yes.
you go in yourself because you research your abilities,
Exactly.
and by going into your deep down soul, you find that
You
happiness.
Yes, exactly. Not by going down,
Mhm.
but by applying it in the real world.
Oh yeah,
Right? So it's not a
Because-
passive thing that I'm just meditating on what skills I have. That's why for your channel, it's very important that the viewers on this, they should write a list of 10 items of which they think they're good in terms of skills.
Mm.
They should read around skills. That's why we have the 29 there.
We
And
will
when they write
attach
their
everything
CV,
in
they should think this is what I'm good at and try to find a workplace in which they can actively apply it. In the job interview, they should say, I think I'm very good at organizing things. My parents always told me as a firstborn son to organize things. In this work, where can I use my organizing abilities?
Mhm.
And then the job place says, oh, we don't know. Then you say, I don't come here because I will not be happy in your workplace, ideally. Or once you're there, you should start to look for organizing abilities and ask people, I think I'm a good organizer. Did you observe this with me? And then they
Mm.
say, yes, you're great. Then meaningful life could be created by applying your skills in the
I have
workplace,
just a quick
right?
questions regarding the finding happiness through the theory of flow.
Yes.
As I understand, the flow is the particular moment. I mean, it lasts for a few hours, maybe more, maybe even. I don't see that the flow can be, permanent.
Exactly.
I don't
So-
see that the flow can be permanent.
No.
It's very important to say because
How long is the flow is the question. How long is the flow?
How long is the flow? And because what the idea of life is that it's not a race, it's marathon. And how like the flow theory, because I see it more as because you work, and then you get this flow feeling,
Yes.
and then you work, and then you go get this flow feeling.
Yes.
How can we connect this to?
So amongst this 8 mental states which Csikszentmihalyi has identified, which is this colorful picture here, which we can also share, this one here.
we will
The
share,
flow
yeah.
here on the top is one of them. The others are anxiety, control, relaxation. It's one mental state in which you want to be as often as possible because it's the most optimal, it's the most beautiful. How long it can last depends on the activity itself.
Mhm.
The point is that most people don't experience flow at all,
Mm.
right? When is the last time you were saying, this moment was just beautiful, this was just optimal? So you should try to hunt as many situations for this. Csikszentmihalyi suggests that even when you're doing your shoelaces, when you make your tie, you should try to focus and try to be here in the present and do it now, because this moment you caught for your life.
That's true.
This nobody will be able.
There is no
This is-
future. There's no past.
So life, according to Csikszentmihalyi, as a psychologist, he's not a religious person,
Yeah.
is the collection of as many flow experiences as an adult as possible. Because the rest of the day, you will have to do routine works, it's boring, or it's just relaxation because it's standard, or you feel in control, which means you're doing great things 100%, but it's nothing unusual. So you should look for this, hunt for this being in flow. So certain activities can last a long time. When I'm preparing my slides, when I did this here, this presentation, I spent days, hours on it, and it was never perfect. I was moving around. I was asking colleagues, "What do you think of this? Where should I choose?" I didn't get receive feedback. I received feedback. I changed this and that. So flow can be repeated over certain segments, and then it is actually a long period, maybe 2 hours. And the problem with flow is actually you start to forget about your food, or you don't go, don't get fresh air.
Yep.
Your neck starts to hurt.
Yeah.
So being in flow actually can also be
Harmful.
unhealthy,
Hurting.
or unsocial.
Yeah.
That is true.
Some people say, "Why did this class last so long? We said that it's 75 minutes, and this stupid professor is speaking now for 90 minutes already."
Mm-hmm.
Right? So for me, it's great, and the time feels like it's only 10 minutes or
Yeah.
15, but for others, maybe it's not. But I want to tell you another example of flow. Flow can also change the time, that it's something very short, and it gets very extended.
Mm.
Right?
Mhm.
I don't know whether in Chimkent there is this Sunkar, this ski jumping slope.
There is no.
Okay, I saw there's one Almaty, of
Yeah.
course.
In Almaty.
I've never
Maybe
seen.
in
I've
East
never
Kazakhstan. Maybe in East Kazakhstan, because there is
maybe
there are
in
mountains.
Eskemen.
Yeah.
Certainly there is one in Chuchinsk. I saw it.
Shushinsk.
Yes,
Yeah.
So
very
there's
good.
so when somebody is jumping off that ski
Trampoline.
jumping trampoline, you call it, it takes 8 seconds to fly. How long?
Yeah.
But this is a very long period for the person who's jumping.
Mm.
All the senses are extended on this second.
Yeah.
One of my students, he is Arman Chilmanov,
Mm-hmm.
one of the very few Kazakhs who won an Olympic medal.
Really? Oh my god.
And he would have been gold winner, but he was only he didn't do any mistake. The referee made a mistake in Rio, and he was winner for Taekwondo.
Taekwondo.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And he told me, "Professor, it's exactly like this. I am 2 + 2 minutes on the tatami, but I feel done. I'm done. I feel exhausted like 2 + 2 hours of fight.
Yeah.
So your question was, how long is the flow? My answer is, it can be very condensed or it can be very extended. And when Dennis 10 was doing his period on the ice rink,
Yeah.
it was maybe 3 seconds or 2 seconds.
Yeah.
But for him, it was feeling the time was very long.
very long.
You
Minutes,
see
minutes.
microseconds.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's really good, because
Yeah.
previously you suggested to write down the skills
Yes.
that you have in order to discover yourself.
Yeah.
But how the person could be sure that those skills are really objectively evaluated?
Okay. So for most of you, this idea of knowing about skills and how it relates to happiness is pretty new. So this is a great step to make a list of 10 skills.
Yep.
That's enough.
Okay.
Next step is to walk around and ask friends, "I think I have these skills. Do you agree with me?" Right?
Mm.
In my world, where I'm teaching business people like to measure skills. They want to have audit. They do audit on financial statements. They do audit on accreditation on knowledge, routines, and processes, ISO standards, like you are the engineer. Sometimes they do audit on environmental rules and protocols. And they should also do audit on leadership skills.
Yeah.
What is the asset base of the organization which they work with? So that's why we have developed this simulation game with Csikszentmihalyi, his official training, in which they play this winery story. And in this story, the system observes the skills, and it can therefore be then reported. And then they replay and they can develop the skills. But this is for executives, for business people, usually.
It's called Fligby.
This is called Fligby. It stands for Flow is Good Business for You.
Whoa.
So,
Fligby.
the flow is this one.
Yeah.
And the Good Business was the second book I mentioned. Good business. And the for you means that it's accessible. So it's how can you measure
For
skills was the
everybody.
question.
Personalized.
You
as
can
well.
measure it by self-inspection, your self-ideas. You can measure it by others, asking others what you think about me. And the third one is to measure it in a test, in a simulation game. This is what we do.
Because reading about that and listening your answer, it reminds me one of the American institutions test Gallup. Maybe you heard
Yes.
about that. They have that 34 talents that
Yes.
ranks.
So the Gallup Strengths Finder
Yeah.
is a self-test, and it comes up with the skills exactly, and it is very popular globally because they were first movers. So they started this really many years ago. So HR people, when they want to have some support in whom they should choose in the workplace, they need a tool. So since this is an Anglo-Saxon world, still now in management, they were the fastest ones. But the disadvantage of the Gallup is that it is self-test. So you say something about yourself, and it's not necessarily true.
Of course, subjective.
This is very subjective by your statement.
Yeah.
And the test basically shows what you told about yourself.
Ah, you mean that way?
That way.
Okay.
So there is no algorithm that calculates.
No, it's a questionnaire, and based on the answers you
177
give,
questions.
you reply and you get the result. But in our book, by the way, this is the Gallup Strengths Finder and the 29 skills which we use. So if you have your Strengths Finder type, and you're the responsible guy or the
It's 8 on my side.
activators, right?
Yeah.
Then this can be made in synonymous with the 29 skills which we use.
Ah, great.
Yeah.
Great.
But I do recommend for anybody who has some money, like 50 euros it costs, to do this Gallup Strengths Finder when you start to look for a job. It is usually not applicable for bachelor and master students in the first workplace because they are looking at the university, at the CV style, but it's certainly very good to add to the CV. What we do is mostly for business people, and I think this is very relevant also for public service development and NGOs.
As Aristotle says, learn about yourself, learn about life.
Yes.
Of course, I made a mistake, but generally it
Yes.
is.
Know yourself. Notice se auton.
Oh my God! Yeah, we are with academia today.
Yeah, actually, I had 7 years of Latin in a school
Oh my God!
in Germany, so I didn't learn Greek, but I wish I would have learned other languages, which would be more useful, like Turkish now. Or
May I ask you about the Fligby?
Yeah.
Right? So it's based on gamification and living the experience that can be that can be translated in real life. Is it the most effective way to test someone else's ability to be a leader?
So for the skills measurement, it's certainly the most innovative way at the moment. At the moment, there are two categories which are known, and the third one is this through the game. So the first one is a test of finding out about the skills by asking a person a question, and then he will say, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. So it's self-reporting.
Yep.
The second one was, I told you, by asking others like how you perceive me. It is called assessment center. And that assessment center is actually reflecting the criteria of the observer.
Yep.
So we have this show here, yes, and we think it's cool, right?
We think.
It is
but maybe
subjective.
somebody just watched it and said, no, it's very boring, and they moved on.
It is subjective.
But yet again, 10,000, or I wish for you so many viewers, maybe you will see on the statistics that others did stay on and watched it. So this show this skill or this whatever is actually assessed by the aspect and the criteria of the viewers. And then some of them say that this was good skill or bad skill. It's the same skill, right? So the first one was self-assessment. The second one is assessment by so-called experts. But their aspect on what is good and bad is different.
It's also subjective.
It's also subjective. And that's why the third one is this game in which everybody plays the same story. And you have to take a decision, and there are dilemmas, A, B, or C. And if you choose A, it has consequences. And we have interpreted the skills that if you choose A, then you are more diplomatic. If you choose B, then you're more conflict prone and conflict manager. And if you choose C, it's a bad combination. It's bad leadership. You don't get any points. And by the end of the story, we then look how often did you choose a choice in which diplomacy was. And if you've chosen all 15 decisions, then you have 100% in diplomacy. And we compare the person from Üsküdar, from Istanbul, from New York, from Budapest, wherever the people are playing this, they play all the same story. And we can actually see how they decided. And then we can say, you are more into conflict management because you've chosen more often the decision, and the system doesn't look at you who you are. It is the same standard. And that's why this is the third way of assessing skills. So game-based assessment.
Yeah.
But yes, this is interesting also because then you replay the story and you can actually play together in 2-3 people together. And then you debate what would be the best decision. And then you two would have an argument, and you come to a better understanding of what is actually the better leadership situation. And then you start to talk about how it should be in an ideal world, in an ideal company, and how is it now. That's why I find so much enthusiasm in and hope I still have to bring this education and technique which I have to more countries which need this development of skills. Because the Western companies, the Western countries, they have good education in leadership selection already. But it is Hungary, which was different many years ago. Now it's the EU, actually a powerhouse economically. But your country and the emerging countries, they need new tools to develop what is a good leadership skill. And in this game, they can play together. And people who play this, what you call the Southern style or the socialist style, and we do this, they have a debate on this is actually not reality. And in this story, they can start to warm up a little bit, and the heart gets more open for different solutions of how to lead younger people.
For sure.
Yeah.
Say, talking about your academia background, we know that you own tea shop here in the center of Budapest.
Yes.
Which is the entrepreneurial side of you.
Yes.
But how to combine that both academia and entrepreneurial, and could you please
the
talk about your tea?
The Chai Hana, the tea house. Yes.
Oh my
so
God.
when I finished my MBA in London, I came to become a PhD in Budapest, and there was no tea house. And I always wanted to do things. I was very active.
To do
things, hareket barjede bereke bare. So something will grow out of it. And then I found a consultant friend of mine, Dutch person, and we started a shop in 1996, and we called it 1000 Tea. 1996. It's now actually the second oldest shop in the whole Váci utca, which is Budapest's main pedestrian street. The oldest shop is a company, a family business, which is grinding knives, and it's from 1820, so it's older than Fort Verney, right? So I can't compete with this guy. But the other ones, they have all changed the business, and they went into tourists, and then they went bankrupt, and the restaurant, and the fashion shop, and so on. So this tea house was a lot of hard work, and it was a hobby. But it's not mine anymore. It is owned by the tea boys. They have passed it on, but I consider it as my joy because project it became, and it is actually live alive because of the good taste, and the people are experts. And I don't like people who just speak of nice things, but you also want to taste it. So here's some tea for you. I brought from you.
Thank you very much.
So
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
This is Indian tea. It is black tea from Assam region. It is called Brahmaputra. There's a big river. So in Assam, the soil is very flat and it can be used easily for mass production. And the sun is rather monotonous. The weather is rather stable. So it produces a lot of tea. So when you drink black tea in, Kazakh tea, as you call it, the black tea with milk, usually it is Indian tea from Assam region, maybe from Ceylon, which is Sri Lanka.
Oh my God.
But this is the most popular tea
Thank
to
you very
drink.
much.
So that's,
Yeah, speaking of tea and food particularly, we're just gonna break our fast now if it's
Yes.
yeah, because
oh yes, for you it is
drink some water.
Yeah.
yes.
Thank you. The thing is
Yes.
that how, for example, thank you very much first of all for the gift.
Yes,
tea.
it's a little sarkit, so to say.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Saying about the tea, we are Central Asians. Tea is, they say,
Yes.
in our blood.
Yes.
And I gotta say, Rahmet.
Rahmet.
And in your Kazakh name, Khan Sultanbek.
Yes.
Rahmet Khan Sultanbek. And how could you tell about how you got that name, Khan Sultanbek? Where does that come
And this
from?
is just a fun thing. Students had names which were similar to mine. So Zoltan comes from the Turkish Ottoman Empire, which we spoke about. It comes from the Sultan,
Yep.
which means weapon master. And I was surprised to have heard in the first course that there was a student, it's called Han Sultan.
Mhm.
We know the word Han because we also have the Genghis Khan and Attila Han, and then another one was called Sultan Bek. We also have the same Hungarian word Bek. So I got a great inspiration and a suggestion as a gift to have this as a special name, the Han Sultan Bek.
Sultanbek.
And it's fun, but at the same time, actually, it helps me a lot. So, for example, when I go into a restaurant and they write the name on the teacup or the coffee cup.
Yeah.
We don't want to mention this American
No,
franchise
no.
company, which I'm not a big fan of. And
We
sometimes, and I say your name, and I say Zoltan. They say, sorry, what? And so
Yeah.
I say Han Sultan Bek, no problem. Right? I go into a pizzeria and they want to take my name, so this
order,
works.
right?
This is just the entertaining part.
That's great.
Yeah.
Khan Sultanbek, it's a really great
Yeah.
masculine name.
Yes,
And
thank you.
It's also correlates with your real name,
Yes.
Zoltan.
Yes, it does. And
That-
I got a great inspiration.
Pretty much.
I'm very thankful for the name.
The next question and the topic we wanted to discuss is about, again, us young people. You are educator. You have a lot of students. What are the common mistakes young people do in their 20s? And what would you suggest that way?
About career-wise, right? So if we talked about
I want to tell you
understanding-
something which I'm telling to others. It's related to this. When people come to study here in Hungary from your country, and the dilemma is whether they should return home, which I think they should, or whether they should find a job in Hungary, or the worst is that they think that they will be happier on the long run if they continue further west. That they should maybe find a job in America or in England. So this is the worst. When they go on from Hungary into those countries, they will be big nobodies. Right? I don't want to be too dramatic, but they become mankurts.
Oh my God.
Right? They
Khan
become.
Sultanbek,
they
you know
become-
very much.
I don't know whether this is acceptable or not.
No,
What
no,
I'm
it is.
saying is they will have no real identity anymore. They are people from a Central Asian country where most people think that you're Chinese, right? Here in Hungary, certainly they think,
Yeah.
right? Correct?
Yeah, I had come.
And-
Yeah.
And then they go into another country, and as a beginner for your professional, you don't have a professional identity,
Mhm.
right? You basically sell your time and your whatever you can.
Yeah.
So in this environment of Western countries, you come from a country studied here, which is already not on their main radar, not so well known. So that career is something relevant for people who have professionally established their own expertise.
Mhm.
So therefore, the question remains to stay here in this country, which I think is a great opportunity, or my stronger advice is actually to go home.
Mhm.
By going home, I don't mean go back, right, disappear from here, but actually discover what abilities you have got here, which in the first place, when you return home, will be very difficult. This is called the second cultural shock. The first cultural shock happens when you arrive in a new country, right? And everything is different. And this you have all discovered by now. The second cultural shock happens when you go home and you discover that the homeland is not good anymore. It's so different. When you go through the second cultural shock, which I did when I arrived to Hungary, and I told you at the beginning of the show that
Cosmopolitan education.
yes, but the proud Hungarian.
For sure.
Right. So when you go home and you start to work with your profession, your knowledge, and the language skills at home, you will have faster career because you will have this boost of things you have studied here in the background. But you must not lose the flow, because it's very difficult for many people to get work done because they have to fight against the old routines. People don't trust you. They say, you're just a young person, I'm the boss here, and so on. So therefore, the flow can help the younger people to know about the skills and to say, maybe the boss is not listening to my ideas. I don't get good opportunities from her. But if you know about your skills and you say that I'm applying my skills regularly, constantly, then this will begin to bring fruits.
Yeah.
So what is the biggest mistake for people who finished universities?
Finnish universities and generally in 20s, like you think, because you have a lot of students, isn't it?
I don't teach much 20s. I told you mostly 30 people who are business people who are in charge for the young ones.
Yeah.
Yes, but in generally speaking, I think it is very important for young people to stay professional, which means that when you make a promise that you will send the material, to deliver, to send the email, when you are take notes on what commitments you have made and follow up on the commitments. I noticed this with Central Asian cultures more often, that people are very enthusiastic, we'll do this, we'll do that, and then they disappear, they sneak out.
Oh my God.
You notice this as well?
Of course. It's mostly Southern style.
No, but
Where
it's,
I'm from-
but
where you're
it's
from?
it's
But-
universal. I wouldn't say that there is a geographical, or pin the geographical location. It's just there is certain types of people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So when you get older, or as I got older, you notice that in order to have repeat success or something delivered, you must actually follow up on the deliverables, the stories you have thought, you have mentioned.
Yeah.
So there is a time around 2025 when you start your first work that you actually start to take on ownership of the issues and the problems. So you do this show
The ownership.
perfectly in this sense, right? You had this idea. Many people had idea to have a podcast, but you organized it. You have a cameras here, a staff in the background. It will be post-edited and so on. So this is what people who are young, you call the 20s, don't do. They have these ideas only. They speak about this. I have been mentoring many students at Corvinus University and in the tea house, by the way.
Oh my God.
And we speak about this. And they had many ideas, business development club.
Yeah.
And then nothing comes out of it because they didn't follow up on their thoughts.
Yeah. You're right, sir, because, for example, the radio, the invention of radio was invented by different people in different locations.
Yes.
But only one got patent. But the thing is that a lot of people have that ideas and few of them do that. I found this from this stuff. And you're right. Getting things done and getting professional.
You're just talking about I mean, obviously, we are the lucky ones who we have the resources, we have ability to make it, and we have a pure intentions to make a platform for people in Hungary, because we think that there are a lot of people, especially coming from different countries, and in Hungary, and they don't have a platform here. They don't have a community.
Yes,
And,
this I felt also. That's why I mentioned to you that for my reach of university students at Corvinus University, I did the initiative repeatedly to invite them in the tea house and to get to know each other. And I wish that in the future there will be more. This place is great also to get together and to get to know each other a little bit. But it's not just students; it should also be people who are expats who work here
as well.
who organize this type of activities. It's very difficult. They think universities should do this, embassy should do this, the cultural, I don't know, the Abai Center should do this. So it's all floating around. I know this, but ultimately I've seen your pain or your situation for years as the Stipendium Hungaricum students evolved. That the younger people need to belong somewhere.
To be honest, Zoltan, we saw that problem, and maybe you saw what the mission statement of our is the invitation PPT. The thing is that we want to build that community or that platform of creativeness in Budapest among those young people, because we see that there is a lack of such thing.
This you need to know yourself. What I'm saying is that when students are here from a different distance, and this could be students from anywhere, they have a natural feeling that they somehow want to belong. And I happen to know your country better than others by now. So that's why I'm very happy that I got invited here to speak about my experience and science of it. And I'm actually very confident that things are developing positively for the young ones who arrive here. So, for example, I think 3 years ago, nobody knew what this is, the Stipendium Hungaricum. Some bogus, strange people got it applied. I don't know how it was for you. How did you find out about this?
The thing is that we were lucky ones.
Lucky, right?
Not lucky. We say, how to say?
Accidentally.
We are privileged. We were studying in top 20 schools, NIS, maybe you know, Nazarbayev Intellectual Schools.
Yes.
It's a place where that sense of success, that you have to do something, and very competitive schools.
Yes.
And inside the community is very competitive. That's why you have to do things and find opportunities. And by searching opportunities, of course, we come up with Stipendium Hungaricum and apply that. In my situation, it was like this. And luckily, thank God we got accepted. Now we're here.
So it was by chance. Now more information.
Of course,
more information is available about this country, about this program.
Sure.
Alumni. So this is developing, and by time things will grow. By the way, there were great events which I really enjoyed recently. In December, there was the screening in the beautiful cinema
in Urania.
In the Urania. Have you been there?
Yeah,
I was actually there. Yeah, and I was actually shocked that they chose the movie that I don't think Hungarians will understand, because it requires some background knowledge about Kazakh history, and I wouldn't say that's the movie.
I think this movie was great.
Second movie, Ulara.
I saw the first one, and I think it was really great. Turkestan and
Kazakh kingdoms at almost close.
It was colorful. For me, it was for me it was too much to understand the names and locations.
That is true.
Right, but this was a great opportunity for people to get together. It was great that it was translated to Hungarian with subtitles. And I think this is what will happen in the future more and more, that there should be cultural events like this.
Hopefully.
Yes.
United we strong, divided we fall.
Yes.
That's the truth.
Yes.
Because I think we forgot. I wanted to ask just to say, because we were talking about the healthy amount of flow in your life.
Yes.
Because sometimes, because as you said, it's the goal is to have this flow feeling as often as possible. But what is the healthy amount, and how do you believe in work-life balance, basically? I mean,
no, there is no such thing.
There is no such thing.
There's no such thing. And I'm not saying that the work should be only work, but there are so many research and techniques around finding this balance. The balance can only exist because you take a decision that this percentage or that percentage, right? So people can be happy if they work very hard and then they don't have a family, and the people who have only family and no work, It's not balance either. So there is no magic percentage for everybody which you can do, and for everybody there is a trade-off which is painful,
Sacrifice.
a sacrifice, right? So this exists.
And how does it work? How does it connect to flow theory?
To flow theory, it is that if you have no flow, then you basically run around from the different segments in life and you're looking for something which creates the meaning in your life. If somebody is spiritual and religious, then this question is resolved. Meaning of life can be spiritual or religious life.
Meeting to God there.
God, yes. Resurrection for a Christian.
Yeah.
Exactly. But in the secular world, this question of what makes people happy goes around, and then they start to look for it in, I'm going to be with my family, I'm going to do sports, I'm going to do innovation, I'm going to develop myself. So it goes around, and if they don't discover the flow in it, then it goes circular constantly. The other thing, Dias, which is interesting, if somebody is, let's say, a researcher and constantly is in with experiments, or somebody's a businessman, businesswoman, constantly is doing the sales, then this flow creates also disadvantages maybe in the health or in the private life.
Yeah, for sure.
So having no flow creates a problem, and there's no work-life balance. But if you have too much flow and you dedicate everything for your profession or for your friends, for your hobby, then this will also create a work-life balance problem. Many people say, when I ask them in the business world, what are the typical activities outside of work which gives them the flow? And they say, about 10% say fishing, right? It's just being there, and they say, I'm the greatest fisher, and I can influence with my tools and equipment the fish. Can you imagine? And they say, yes, and they have special equipment, and they think they're the best fishermen.
Yeah.
But if somebody is in flow with fishing constantly, you really need to have a family who tolerates your flow. So you see what I'm saying is, your question was, what is the right amount of flow? Well, the right amount of flow is at two extremes. Too much flow constantly is asocial and unhealthy, and no flow is actually a meaningless life if you're not religious, and therefore flow can be something like finding this in the middle. So cooking is also something which people often mention. Training the dogs, teaching their dog, having a good conversation is very often mentioned.
Drinking tea, maybe.
Yes, connoisseurs. For me, the taste of tea is very important. But the wine tasting, wine degustation,
That goes also as well.
You spoke about the Kurt, to be the expert of the sweet, the more sour Kurt and the sweeter Kurt. So taste can be like this.
So variety of activities
or listening to music. So this variety of activities you can actually find in different life segments. Also the flow, and then it is more balanced.
Oh my God, that's great.
Was this interesting for you?
Of course, for sure.
That is an interesting way to look at the life. In the flow theory, also obviously contributes to the whole consciousness, the self-awareness concept that we are all seeking for. And this is the big work that
Csikszentmihalyi.
Yes, Csikszentmihalyi made, and I think that's.
Yes, so the essence is in positive psychology, the question is the very fundamental question: what is the meaning of life? And he discovered this phenomenon of being active and finding a momentary answer, subjective answer, that this was a meaningful moment, meaningful hour, meaningful work. And therefore, it is actually important for business people also because it's related to being active, activity, right? That's what is creating something. And that's why for me in teaching business studies, we always want to create something, new values, new product, new solutions, new podcasts, and great shows. So it's proactive. At the same time, in positive psychology, there is this moment of just observing. It is this mindfulness. It's basically you open your senses and you don't do anything, and you just hear the sound or you feel the vibrations as the tram went by here. So this is also part of positive feelings, but I'm more on this active, this proactive side,
Active one.
the active one.
Yeah, great, great. That's pretty much of a conversation, sir. How would you could you please more tell about Kazakhstan, your book and your connections with Kazakhstan, and how you find the like you've been there 27 times.
Yes, so what happens is I'm a university educator, and I usually go to universities by invitation to teach on DBA programs, master programs. But what I'm really doing is executive education. So I did once, twice, three times company trainings, but I'm not embedded in the trainer world. And there were big changes politically recently. So previously I was not involved in this. Who are the trainers? But I really wish that in the future there will be more opportunities to share this knowledge, not only in academic context, but really business context, or institutions like the APA, the public administration. They need to hear about these things,
Sure.
because the society is developing. The diplomatic circles need to know about how to utilize the national energies,
Resources.
not physical energies, but mental energies. So I'm looking forward to new opportunities to be invited and to share this knowledge. And I think I can really speak the local language by now, not just the funny parts, from Sarkit to all the slang little things. But in Central Asia, when I got there 10 years ago, the tenge was still pretty strong. And it was full of expatriates, people who flew there from Scotland and Canada and Switzerland. They had nothing to do with your nation and the country. They had no clue. They could do the same teaching and education in Singapore or in Rio. They just went there for the money, so to say. And the people were then watching and, this great tool, and then they disappeared. Then there is another category of people who have access to this type of education. In Central Asia, mostly in Kazakhstan, is the Russian-speaking people. They had this language advantage. So this book, Patok, this is most people will think that this is a Russian book because it happens to be in Russian translated. But it's not. It's English and English-Hungarian, so to say. So now I hope that this will be more balanced, and I hope that also this Turkic nations connection, which is very new for me too. About 10 years ago, I was first time in Kazakhstan. I did not know about, but I do think that actually this integration of European and Turkish and Central Asian countries is an interesting and valuable movement for the future. Your country has to make a good, realistic connection with other big states.
Sure.
And the 7 strategic countries of your nation is Russia, and maybe I should say first Kyrgyzstan.
Because of the water.
Of Russia, Kyrgyzstan, then Turkey and China, then you have United States and the European Union, and Hungary is the 7th one. So this is actually something which is underutilized, I think, at the moment. By the way, from Hungarians also. Most people here in this country, they have not much idea of your country. We just know that we come from the region, and we also have yurts.
We have some common words.
So that's somewhere in the past. But the fact is that most business could be developed, and cultural ties are deep. This is something for the future to do.
Yeah, but Zoltan, the thing by such podcasts, by such projects. And programs such as Stipendium Hungarium, we collaborate and started and continue that wave of Hungary and Kazakhstan and any kind of positive relationships. I believe.
So you messaged me 23 hours ago, right? And here we are already.
Oh my God,
we put it together.
That's how we do. That's how we do. Oh my
That's
God.
how we do it.
Thank you very much. The last but not least, what kind of books you could recommend to the people
But
listening.
we already have talked about a lot
Yes.
of books. Maybe,
Yeah.
yeah, we have a lot of books.
I don't think the young people watching this read books, but this book you can listen in a podcast,
Oh my God.
right? You can find on the my channel,
Yeah.
Zoltan Buzady. I have posted it sometime, and you can listen to this in the background to this, right?
Great.
Maybe we can just summarize the conversation that we had today. We've talked about the flow theory, and we talked about what makes a good leader, how many skill sets, and we talked about the importance of it and why people should actually study leadership and why people should understand that it is important concept nowadays especially, and why it's so stressful for young people to actually become a leader nowadays with all the anxiety and the information and things. But yeah, so pretty much.
But I think the most important is that there will be moments when you feel despair, you feel apathia.
Yeah,
And this guy whom we spoke about, whom I think I am the follower of, the ambassador, he was feeling afraid for his life in a cellar when it was bombed. And he discovered something in himself which made him world famous. And this, what we talk about, is actually a way out of crazy life which we all have here and there, and actually find meaning in our life. And this is the most important message, that it's not the money, it's not the success that might disappear, but it's actually having a direction of what I'm going to do with. And that's why people study here and why they should watch this podcast and what you did, to create something.
To have a meaning of life.
Yes, creation is meaningful.
Yeah, thank you very much, Zoltan. Today we had very interesting our guest, Lieutenant of Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, and our dearest friend, friend of Kazakhs.
Professor at Corvinus University.
Yeah, professor at Corvinus University. Thank you very much. Wish you luck.